Hello, my Ko-fi friends. Let's go ahead and let's explore how I did this background. So what I did is you're going to need a ruler, a pencil, something like a nice little round shape. I just used the top of my paint lid is what I used. And then I used these fun crayons called the Crayola confetti crayons. Now these crayons look white, but they have little bits of color inside of them. So as you use them, they turn a little bit of a different color. So you might be able to tell in this one where it looks a little bit orange, a little peach, has a little bit of turquoise in there. That comes from the color crayon itself. This is called Mermaid Pageant. So there's a little bit of flecks of color as you use this crayon that it will be coming down. So they all have different ones. This one, it says it looks white, but there's actually says Garden Soiree. So I'm assuming that there's probably little green flecks in there. So they have a whole different set of colors. Super fun to use for a wax resist. So the color crayons is what I'm going to be using as my resist color in my background. I painted my rabbit first, and then I created this little background on my paper, but I want to just show you quickly how you can do it. So I'm going to mark 1.5 inches all the way across. So this is a 6x6 paper, 1.5, just to make my little tick mark. So I would be able to create my pattern. 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to make these lines lightly with my pencil, not hard. I don't want a strong pencil mark. Now, if you do this and you end up getting your pencil marks too strong, you can always use your eraser, remember, to go over them to soften up the marks. So I'm going to come in and do these lines all the way down. And then I'm going to turn my paper and do the same thing. Now I'm working on a 6x6 square paper, so that works really well to create these patterns. 1.5, come over and do the same thing here. Okay, and again, connect my marks. So I want to go real light across. Okay, so I have my grid all ready. So now it's time to go ahead and use this little circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on these sides right here at the top, off to the side. Because my ears were drawn here, I kind of figure I would have a little bit more space to be able to draw these little circles at the top. But what I'm going to do is just a half of a circle. So I'm going to come up and do just a half and trace around this. You might want to do lightly around these as well. I'm going to do, and I'm off to the side. You'll be able to have a better idea because you'll be working at a different spot than I'm working off to the side here. And then I'm going to come on this side and make a half. And this is where I'm going to start making my pattern. So this is a half. Whoops. We're going to skip one. Now, more than likely, there's not going to be one there because that's where my bunny head is. So there would be, but there would be one there. We would skip it. And then this would be a half over here. So I'm just going to create a half a circle. Okay, so this one gets skipped, and then this comes down another one here. Okay, that one gets skipped. This one would be here. Now you might see this one. This might be where some carrots are. You could do this after you get your bunny all drawn. So you would do this, create this pattern after you have your bunny drawn. And then this one gets a half a one here at the bottom. And another half one here. Okay, so that one gets skipped. There might be one here. I doubt you would see that because that's probably where your carrots are going to be. So I'm going to skip one, and then this comes over here as a half because more than likely that's where the bunny's going to be. And then this one, you might see some. So you can see how I'm making a pattern just by laying it out every other one. Whoops, got to come in here. This little paint lid worked really well for this, so I just had this little glitterific bottle. The paint, I was looking for something small. So now this is when you can come in with your eraser, your gum eraser, and you could go over these lines lightly just to lighten them. They were nice. I didn't mind having the pattern, the little pencil patterns in the background. I didn't mind seeing those so much, but I want them to be light. And again, you would have your bunny all drawn, and then you would draw this background pattern. Okay, so now we're going to create that that resist, and I'll just show you how that works. I'm going to use the mermaid one. It was called, let's see if I get the name right. It's hard to see the names because they're printed in silver. Mermaid pageant. Now I'm going to start, and when I do this, I can draw around my circle first if I want to, but then I need to just decide a direction I want to color. So I'm going to go back and forth this direction. Now all of a sudden you can kind of see where there's little flecks of orange inside of there. And there's also little flecks of turquoise. If you turn your color crayon, like all of a sudden that starts turning just mostly orange. If I turn my color crayon, I might see a different color. So now I'm seeing a little bit more turquoise. I can turn it again, come around, outline it if I want to, and then I'm choosing. Now it's got a lot of orange, so maybe I spin my color crayon and a different color comes up. So the little flecks are actually inside of the color crayon, and it's a part of these little confetti color crayons. The color crayon looks white, but it really isn't white. It's a fun way to create a color resist. Now, any color crayon will do this. So even if you wanted to do just pink, or if you wanted to do a white one, the white would act as, when you got done, your circle would end up looking more white. But the paper, you never can get the paper all the way solid with the color crayon because of the bumpiness of the watercolor paper. So you actually will have some sort of your watercolor will show through there. And I'll pick this up again and let you look at what the color crayon, this little one, is doing. It is interesting how the color, so you can kind of sometimes guess about what color might be in there. Okay, so I'll put this up so you can see it and how the colors are inside of there. So now what I will do is that I will go pick up my watercolor, and I'm just going to wash it over those colors, over my color crayon. And where the wax is, that color is going to bead up and it's not going to stick to that color. So if I was doing this with when I have my drawing done, it would just blend in. This is a fun little wax resist. Any color crayon will work for this technique. It doesn't have to be these specific ones, but if you do run into these, and I think we bought these at Walmart, nothing special, and they're just a fun little thing to add to your ideas for doing watercolor. Okay, I'll hold this up so you can kind of see how the color is not sticking to the color crayons. It's resisting that. And the way I got the stronger lines in is I chose a darker pink, less water, and I'm definitely going to tap this out. So I want a stronger bit of pigment. And then I went in and I thought, well, my paper was wet, and I made lines. Because my paper is wet, it's going to soften that line work. It's not going to keep it just a solid line. I'm going to come across and make more of a plaid pattern. Now, of course, my bunny would be in there, so I'd want to go around my bunny, but you'll get the idea of how that's working. So those lines are softening because my paper is wet, and I can carry that line pattern down. Super fun way just to make, and you can make these wider too. So if you want to push down a little bit farther, give a bit more pressure, get a little thicker line, but because again, your paper's wet, you can also let this dry just a tiny bit, and you can come in with a little bit. I'm going to come in with that bright magenta color that I love, the neon color, and let's add a little bit on there. Just even brighten that up just a tiny bit more and add that on there. So this is just a fun technique you can add to your backgrounds and add some character to your backgrounds. And that is how I created the background on here. But again, I did all of my bunny first, and then I created that background on there. And wherever I bumped into my bunny, I just went around it. So that's how I did it. Hopefully we'll give it a try or use this technique, the wax resist. Get yourself some color crayons. That's all you need. And try it yourself. Thanks so much, Ko-fi friends.